Bueno. What's up, everybody? Sour Compa. CantinaMX podcast episode 161. Here with Joel once again. And John might be joining later on. What's going on, Joel?
¿Qué huele, chiquis? Not
How
much
goes it?
today. Todo tranqui.
That's
Todo
cool.
tranqui. Ready to enjoy a cold one and talk some food. I guess we could start with the rankings. The FIFA rankings for October.
Roger.
Yeah, while we wait for Yon, who's on his drive across town. Maneja el chico. So Mexico is ranked 15th right now. I mean 16th. I think they went down. If I'm not mistaken, they went down a spot. Um, Also not sure if the recent friendlies played a part because sometimes the way they calculate it takes other games into account. But what surprised me was that Belgium is ranked number one. You know,
Belgium. Yeah.
yeah, I would,
Yeah.
yeah, for the FIFA.
France. Yeah. France took a loss, I think,
I know,
against
but France
Germany,
is
right?
is reigning. They're the reigning World Cup champions, man. It's like you should get a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
went.
points for that. Because it's
Yeah,
a
that's true.
points based system. It's a point based system, and to me, if you win that, you're an elite group of. It's very few winners. Uh, so I just think that should have been worth bonus daily double, man. So Belgium is ranked one, uh, which they're just 1 point ahead of France, and then Brazil number three, Croatia, which is the runner-ups, on number four. See, I could have said Croatia in four. You know,
Yeah, that's good.
England has gone way up. They're in number five. So, Ingleses are putting up the fight. Uruguay, sixth place. Portugal, number seventh. Switzerland, eighth. Spain, ninth. They dropped after their abysmal tournament. Denmark, 10. Colombia is in 11th. And Argentina in 12th. It's been, Argentina's always above 10. Fairly regularly you find them in the top 10. So they're falling down quite a bit. And one of the things that you get points is when you play amistosos, and their amistosos have been against pretty weak sauce teams. No disrespect, but they did play with El Salvador, and then they played what was it? Was it Israel? There was some other small team. Um, Chile, of course, that did not qualify in 13th. Germany in 14th. That's
The
that's
World
what they
Cup
get
hurt them.
for not getting past the group stage. That's quite the fall for Germany, though. Uh, so yeah, Alemania, the big surprise right along Argentina, the teams that should be in the top 10. Netherlands in 15, and then Mexico in 16. So yeah, Mexico did drop one. They went down a point, and they are 1 point below Netherlands. Sweden in 17th, Wales 18th, Italy 19th. Italy is another, de los históricos. Um, and then Peru in 20th, Poland 21st, USA in 23rd, Austria 24th, Senegal 25th. Y hasta ahí llegamos because it's over 100 teams. Uh, but but for the region, Costa Rica is in 37th. So that's who Mexico is going to be competing against. Uh, 23rd place USA, 37th place Costa Rica. Um, Let me look for
Where
for
where
the
are the
rest
Turk?
of.
Where are the Turks and Caicos?
Oh man, John, you're asking for me to find a needle in a haystack. Hold, I'm just going down the list. Honduras is in 62nd, John. That's
Wait,
That sounds
wow.
about right.
Jamaica's in 53.
Wait, right below them?
Yeah.
Wait,
So you
no,
got
no, no, no. No, wait. Yeah, I skipped Jamaica. You're right. Jamaica in 53 and Honduras in 62. Okay.
what a region, man.
Wait, El
It,
Salvador in 70th. We didn't even go to the World Cup. Panama, that did go. They're tied with them in 70th. I don't know. I don't understand this ranking. I don't get it.
it's all
Um,
messed up, man.
the ELO ranking seems to be more. We'll go over it in a bit. We should we should catch up on Yon and his exploits on the road.
Oh, well, no, it's not me on the road. It's the basketball team that I'm producing these shows for. Man, they're 0-4.
A
You know,
sufrir, John.
I wish I had the Perdimos song that I can start each show with, but I don't think that the audience would appreciate it. No, I'm glad to be back on with you guys. It's been kind of a crazy month with all the stuff I'm doing. So good to be back on the Cantina MX
Te
podcast with
extrañamos,
y'all.
John. Yes, and then
No,
maybe it's a good omen because Pumas has been doing good.
so you're saying I should stay away some more?
Well, no, see that's quite the conundrum, John. I would prefer you stay, but then your Pumas might suffer.
That's right. No. Pumas, they need to get the magic number is 25. They're
Yes,
sitting on 23 with was it 3 games left now or 4 games left? I forget.
four,
Four. And
cuatro.
Pumas they have it tough. They have Toluca.
They have los Diablos. Yes. So did John get cut off?
Passing through a bad patch.
He's going through a tunnel. You know what? What what John reconnects? I have the ELO rankings. So ELO ranking is another. The FIFA Coca-Cola ranking is obviously the official one because FIFA, but a lot of people regard ELO ranking as um, the more fair ranking or the better ranking, I guess they say. So I'm gonna go through their ranking really quick, and this is their current one as of Thursday, October 25th. So ELO ranking has Brazil in first place, France in second, and Belgium in third. And I think we could agree with that because
Yeah.
it it adds up the points not just from one tournament but from you know going back. And of those three teams, yeah, Brazil has been more consistent. And then Spain in fourth, Portugal in fifth, Colombia in sixth, Netherlands in seventh, England in eighth, Germany in ninth. They're ninth compared to what 19th of the FIFA one.
Mm.
Uruguay in 10th, Croatia in 11th, Argentina in 12th. Is John back? I heard the little.
Oh, he just left. I guess he left to
Oh
reconnect.
man. Okay, let's continue with the ELO. Switzerland in 13th, Peru in 14th, Denmark 15, Italy 16, Chile 17, Iran 18, Sweden 19th, Ukraine in 20th, Mexico is 21st. And then you have Serbia, Wales, Bosnia, Russia, Corea del Sur, and the US in 27th. So they're
Yeah, this makes a little
five,
more
five.
sense. I think
Yeah, it's a bit
Ukraine
more.
being on top of Mexico, or not Ukraine, Sweden being on top of Mexico makes more sense to me, and then France being up there.
Well, man,
Uh,
Sweden racked up some quality points during the World Cup qualifying. They left the Netherlands and Italy. They eliminated them. I think that should be worth some bonus. Some
Costa Rica 43, Honduras 59, Panama 61, Jamaica 64. Yeah, yeah. When you look at it by CONCACAF, it shows you how weak the region is, where you have two teams basically in the top 25. Well, almost United States 26 or 23 in FIFA, and then the rest of them, Costa Rica way down to 37 in FIFA, 43 ELO, and then the other ones are like down in the 50s, 60s.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then you still have Mexico having trouble in qualifying. Last qualifying it wasn't the case, but this one we'll have to see. Even though they did do well against Costa Rica, they struggle
Well,
against the other.
well, I think a lot of these teams like Honduras and Guatemala and even El Salvador, they're not like weak sauce. you know,
Yeah,
they're not as weak as they look. It's just that they have really terrible federations, man, and they just don't know how to. They're very corrupt. People talk about how corrupt FMF is, but 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 those guys are at another level, man. We had that one. When was that? Pájaro Picón. He
yeah.
was one of them. There's this guy that covers Salvadorian football, and he was telling us how they wouldn't even take Gatorade for the players. I was like, damn, that's cold blooded, man. So you have to provide your own orange wedges at halftime. But no, dude, it's bad, man. And it's been like that for years. I remember it was like in the late '90s, and they had Salvador's. It was Cienfuegos played with the Galaxy, and he was like one of their top stars. And I remember he did a press conference during the Gold Cup. The dude's crying, and he's talking about how, you know, he's saying something along the lines that they had to pay out of their own pocket to finance some of this stuff. I was like, damn, that's
Yeah.
kind of messed up. so, but when these teams do get their shit together, they could be pretty competitive, and we've seen it at the World Cup. We've seen Trinidad and Tobago, we've seen Jamaica hold their own against traditionally strong teams.
Wait
Um,
though. Wait. I got a question though on this. Like when we talk about El Salvador and all these teams, do you think they're not getting like their Gatorade and their orange wedges and their all are they not getting this because the higher ups are banking all the money, or is it just
yeah,
Of
because they
course.
yes. Let's send them the powdered stuff, or the powdered Gatorade.
okay, so it's not because there's not enough interest or there's not enough business wise revenue being gained by this federation to actually pay the players. So you guys are saying that there is money coming in through ticket sales and through sponsors and all this stuff, but they're just hoarding it for the higher ups. That's what you guys are saying.
Yeah, someone needs to pay for that yacht.
Okay, just making sure because it seems to me like these countries aren't at the top of their game economically to be, and soccer I guess is still a very popular sport, so they're able to make that money. But even if things were to be done fairly, you see stuff like Jamaica or Curacao and teams like that. They have like second jobs, and that's no one's surprised about that. It's just normal type of thing
I
because
personally believe that Curacao is going to be very competitive in the next X and will probably come very close to making the World Cup.
Curacao, not to be confused with
Yes,
the appliance store. Is this? I don't know if you're
exactly. No,
joking, John.
seriously. No, I'm
You
not.
think?
I'm not joking at all. Curacao was the team that in the last Gold Cup they just became a FIFA member.
Ah,
They're a Dutch
oh, ya estuvo.
dominion.
Okay,
So
okay.
they have the
Yeah,
athletes.
similar to
I think that
Guadeloupe, right?
exactly, but they actually have a chance to, and they played fairly well at the Gold Cup. Uh, so I do think that they have a very good chance. I mean, of made. I guess that depends on what the draw is, but I mean, there's no reason to think that they can't make the hex. I think that they have the players. I mean, you can't forget that Ruud Gullit was not born in Holland. Ruud Gullit
No.
was born in Suriname.
Oh.
So Thierry Henry was not born in France. He was born in Guadeloupe.
Yeah, and if you have that, if you have like the Netherlands, where there's a lot of like football players, and you offer them a really nice place over there in the Caribbean, but a lot of them would be willing to go there, man. No,
Right. Yeah.
very laid back job.
If you're a guy who's in the Eredivisie, right,
Yeah.
who may or may not, have a chance to make the Dutch league, but you can certainly play for Curacao. I mean, why not?
No, but also,
it worked for. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying also with coaches and managers, you'd be like, hey,
Yeah.
if you come over here, we hook you up, and it's dirt cheap. you,
I gotta pull out the salt cannon for this one.
Wait. Oh well, just let me finish with one quick observation. And this was like around early 2000 when FIFA had this. It was called the goal. It was a gold program. It was called something like that. And they gave a lot of money to a lot of these small federations to help them build their infrastructure. And I remember talking to some dudes from Jamaica, and they were saying how the money, the Fed didn't really use all that money for that. They're supposed to build fields and things like that, and probably just built one, and then bought a car or something. All right, chickies.
I think
Got their salt cannon loaded.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see them, but I don't have high hopes for them. I mean, John, you said it yourself pretty much. Like, all these smaller federations might have good players, but if they're good enough, they're going to go to the big. They're going to go to the big club. They're going to go to the Netherlands, or they're going to go to France, instead of a smaller. I mean,
yeah, but the difference.
That's like the second division.
Is that they didn't have the opportunity to play for their homeland. Suriname was not part of FIFA back then. Guadeloupe is still not part of FIFA. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Curacao just became a FIFA member. They make it to the gold. I mean, they knocked Honduras out of the Gold Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and you know what, chickies, if you're a player, if you're just like the average player, you're a seleccionado. You get to play CONCACAF League of Nations. You get to play CONCACAF Gold Cup. That's a vitrina. You make it to the hexagonal. That's a vitrina too.
Big time.
And then you get to play some of the bigger teams, and you get more focus. You once you play against the USMX, it could even open doors to land in other leagues.
Yeah, we'll
I mean,
see.
and the reality is that with a 48-team World Cup, when CONCACAF has 5 teams, the Curaçaos of the world are going to be very competitive to make that 4th and 5th spot. There's no question.
So lower the bar for them, and we'll give them a chance. let me see what they're.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think the Curaçao they have the infrastructure, they have the athletes, and ultimately I think it's going to be one of those teams that is going to be, moving forward very competitive to the point that I think that they may become a team that makes World Cups on a consistent basis.
Well, here's on the FIFA site. They beat Grenada 10-0 in September, and they beat Virgin Islands 5-0. In friendlies this year, they tied Bolivia 1-1, and they beat Bolivia a few days later 1-0.
Well, goddamn. Good adelanto from Yon right there. See, you don't get this in other podcasts. Talking about it.
I saw them with my own eyes. I saw them with my own eyes in Denver at the Gold Cup a few years ago. I mean, they're, I'm not saying that they're going to, be the next Switzerland or Belgium or anything like that. But yeah, they are going to be competitive. They're going to be very competitive.
Yeah.
They have the infrastructure. They have the infrastructure. They have what other Caribbean countries don't have, and that's a somewhat decent infrastructure. And as we've seen in CONCACAF, if you have a good infrastructure, like Costa Rica has, I know that we make fun of the Hondurases of the world, but Honduras is pretty decent. And Salvador is hit or miss, but I mean they have certainly have possibilities to be better. But Curacao is a small country, obviously, and then they have, if done right, which I think they will do, now that they're a FIFA member, I do think that we're going to see them make a push to make it into the World Cup. But
actually, last year in the Gold Cup, they actually lost 2-0 to Jamaica. They lost 2-0 to El Salvador, and they lost 2-0 to Mexico. And that was, I guess, the group stage.
That's
wasn't
not
too
bad,
bad.
though. For a small team like that,
They did
those
beat
teams usually
Jamaica in the Caribbean Cup, or in the Caribbean zone, to qualify. So they beat Jamaica.
Those teams usually get blown out of the water, sometimes even by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like I said, I mean, I know that they lost it. They got 0 points, but I mean, you could just tell. You could just tell that the teams are going to be. This was the first tournament they ever. I mean, I remember watching. I mean, I guess it was they played El Salvador in Denver, and they did lose 2-0, but I mean, they were extremely competitive. And if I'm not mistaken, had more than enough chances to get their own goals, and that they will. I am a big fan of Curacao. I want Curacao to succeed. If only because that way we can have Blue Curacao sponsor the CantinaMX podcast.
And it might make for a nice away game.
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
That's on the coast.
Believe me, I was so sad. In 2016 when Mexico gets to go play Canada in Vancouver. It's like, Canada, make the hex so we can come up to Vancouver again. Because, I mean, frankly, who wants to go to San Pedro Sula? I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, would you rather go to the Cuscatlan or go play in Curacao? No offense to our Salvadorian friends who listen. And I know that the Cuscatlan is a very difficult place. I did notice that the Gold Cup is going to have matches outside the U.S. and outside Mexico for the first time ever in this upcoming edition.
Where are they playing, John?
It is to be determined after the draw. So, and I do think that the other tournaments see teams play at least one game at home in the Gold Cup before they play the knockouts in the U.S. That's the Gold Cup is going to end up being played out.
I would do it backwards, John. I would do it if you win your group, you could probably play. You could play one game at your stadium.
Yeah, but then you're not guaranteed that one home game.
That's true.
In the group stage, you're guaranteed a home game. And I got to tell you, if El Salvador has to play, if you're playing El Salvador in the Cuscatlan in June, that's a tough place to play anytime. But I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen Mexico lose to El Salvador in qualifiers.
Yeah.
When El Salvador has the 1994 team, which had outside of the '86 Mexico team was outstanding, really strong team, just rolling everybody, just destroying teams left and right, lost in the and that was back when you only got 2 points for a win and 1 for a loss, so it jeopardized Mexico's World Cup chances, even as well as they played everywhere else, because it was the only ticket available to CONCACAF because the U.S. was already qualified. So it was, it was tough.
It was
a tough place to play.
if we look at the Gold Cup because the Gold Cup got it got restarted in '91. But if you go further back, when other countries used to host the tournament, it had multiple winners compared to now that it's just divided between USA and Mexico and one for Canada. But before the other teams, Costa Rica, Honduras, some of these other teams, they managed to win the cup. And I think it did hurt those teams, you know, not being able to host a tournament or win a tournament.
It did. You're absolutely right.
Well, and at the same time, it helped the U.S. grow even more. I mean, who wouldn't love that? Hosting a tournament every 2 years, having that home field advantage.
Right. I mean, it's not just that. I mean, it's that for better or for worse, Mexico's in CONCACAF. That's not going to change. They're not going to CONMEBOL. And the biggest reason Mexico will never go to CONMEBOL is because they're essentially guaranteed a World Cup spot when they play CONCACAF. It is a slam dunk.
Yeah, but with 48 teams now, it's no need for that. It's the whole qualifying game has changed. But I think that's a good mentioning CONMEBOL. I think it's a good jumping off point because there's been more news on the whole Mexico returning not only to Copa America but to Copa Libertadores, and it was about maybe a month back when John de Luisa and Enrique Bonilla being the LigaMX president, traveled to CONMEBOL to try to negotiate. And I was not too high on Bonilla, but it's looking like a done deal. That by 2020, Mexican clubs will be back in Copa Libertadores. Now,
I don't know why you would doubt Tocayo, my Tocayo. My Tocayo's.
No, I wasn't doubting. I wasn't doubting Yon. Yon was negotiating Copa America. It was Enrique Bonilla that was negotiating Libertadores. That's the guy I doubted. But it seems like he's not alone in this dealing. There's a Don Gerber of the USSF MLS. So they will be joining the fray for Libertadores. 2020 and another adelanto from the Cantina. It's one thing we talked about that we said we wouldn't be surprised if they did like the Super Bowl, even Champions League, one-off final in a predetermined stadium. And they're trying to do that for the 2020 final. They're probably trying to test it, like do it once. And so it will be the final in the U.S. So it's up to the combo teams to agree. But I mean, they're talking about so much more prize money that they're saying it shouldn't be that much of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Miami is the capital of Latin America, so they got their new stadium.
Yes, and that's where they
finally worked out. So
yeah, that's where they would hold the final in Miami, where all the Sudamericano high rollers travel to as their.
So my 2 cents on this is just it's after the money.
Of course it is. I mean, are you kidding me? We think of CONCACAF as
but it makes a joke. It sort of makes a joke out of it.
Joke out of what?
You're devaluing the cup.
That's what CONMEBOL. Well, let's not forget what's happened in CONMEBOL. Just went to jail for bribery, extortion. Go down the list.
Well,
up the street, they got to figure out a new way to make money, and if it has to be on the level, so be it. So of course they're going to want to play.
Well, and not just because of that, John and Chiquis. It's also, you know, a lot of these countries have been hit by these economic recessions, and they, you know, most often than not, they'll sell players. They'll sell players as soon as they can. And if they're making more money from these tournaments, they can afford to keep some of these players a bit longer and stay more competitive.
Yeah, I don't know if the players want to stay though. I think
They
all these
come on,
players,
man. They're not.
well, the history of players is going to Europe, and
Well, but
so
this
many
is
of
the
them
thing,
go.
though. Yeah, but this is the thing. You're not gonna want to leave if you get a whatever offer.
I
You're
think
not
you
gonna
do.
want to go to Greece or to Ukraine. Because there's. I mean, yeah, one thing is Spain. One thing, you're
Oh, so
going
the
to Spain. You're
fringe.
going. There's
Yeah.
dude. There's a lot of players end up
The,
going to some
the,
of these
the,
countries where if they could choose, they most likely wouldn't.
What
okay,
do you
yeah, but
mean you?
that's a
What do
smaller
you mean that
percentage.
Ukraine is weak? Ukraine is not weak.
Well, it's not weak, but I mean, you're freezing
What
your
if I
balls off.
smash that
You
board?
you don't you don't get the language. It's so much stuff, man. You're at world's end.
What
You're close to
percentage?
Mordor. They don't want to go play over there. If they could stay here, they would. Uh, that's why
Yeah,
Mexico is
that,
such a popular destination for a lot of Sudamericanos. And you think of like even top coaches. We've had like all these top coaches come in and here because it's a nice destination to come to.
so say that like okay, that's a good point because say they do maintain those fringe players that don't get to go to the big clubs in Europe. So they decide to take a little more money and stay in their countries, Argentina, Brazil, or whatever. They're going to dominate even more Copa Libertadores because those top end players are staying in country.
So
And
what?
so you introduce a Liga MX who struggled, but they do okay. But then you add MLS, you're gonna get demolished by
Yeah,
these.
but they won't be all the time. I mean, you eventually catch up. I mean, Mexico got to play in Libertadores before the team got dismantled that bad. You know, and if you go back to before the club's World Cup when they had the Intercontinental Cup, and these South American teams held their own, man, against some of these really strong European teams. It's only been the last what, maybe 20 years when we've seen like, you know, ¿qué está pasando ahí? Chiquis, Chiquis, everything all right?
Oh, I think so. John's
Oh,
Yeah.
John's got a rustling.
Don't judge me. I'm going to Burger King.
Oh
ah,
man,
you're getting a big double, or you should order also a crown. You could wear it while driving.
Conor McGregor.
No,
I just
but
have I just have a bad I guess not taste in my mouth, but well from other sports about organizations going the money route, like cashing in the cash cow and all this stuff, and doing whatever, selling their soul just for the big dollar.
well, I don't think they're selling their soul, man. You have to kind of,
It is
change with
like
the times.
I know, but the times are money. Like a lot of time, CONMEBOL used to be proud, man. They used to be proud and be like, we don't
Hey,
want
Chickens,
Mexico to
you
come
could
to
you
CONMEBOL.
could
We don't.
say the same of the Champions League because the Champions League was just that, champions. It was just the campeones, not the fourth place teams. And they started allowing, third, fourth, fifth place teams into that tournament. But the
That's
name the
unnecessary.
name is Champions League, and it used to
Yeah,
be the campeón de cada federación, for the different league champions, not the fourth place teams. You're not a champion, dude.
and they're going after they're going after the money
No,
because
well, yeah, because they knew.
you see people right now like loving Champions League right now, loving seeing
Yeah,
Chucky out
but
there
see, when
playing.
that happened, are you gonna say that the team, and then see how that tournament started? It was an invitational from a French magazine, L'Equipe, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, these tournaments evolve. I don't think,
Yeah,
including LigaMX, MLS, and even Canadian teams that is gonna make the tournament weak. Because you have teams from Venezuela, Bolivia, even Peru that aren't. They're not that much better, man. You know what I mean? And it's more likely for the North American teams, throughout the years to get even stronger than some of these, than about half of the teams from South America.
Yeah, maybe I'm being elitist.
You
It's
are
and I've
being
talked
elitist,
we've
Kikis.
talked about it we've talked about it before. Like no one watches stuff before the hex. No one
Elitist,
watches.
pero de los finos.
Yeah, no one watches like uh qualifying for CCL between Motagua and or whoever, like before the actual final stages.
Hey,
And
John
that's a,
Arnold has to watch that stuff. He's doing God's work.
John,
yeah,
He's
I
he's doing the
saw that
Lord's
tweet.
work. He's doing the Lord's work.
Or
so
even like the increasing of the World Cup, man. That's like to me that's okay. That's they want more money, but like who
hey,
wants to see all these
But
teams
man,
in the
the
World
only
Cup?
reason they're doing that for the World Cup is so that the Thailands and the Vietnam, the Chinas of the world, where they have a huge audience,
yeah,
they're just
and
throwing them a
India.
bone. Yeah.
Yeah, because India's like what 1.5 billion people. I mean, that's a lot of panini stickers that are gonna be sold over there, man. You,
That
same
book's
with
gonna be like
China.
that
Same
book's
with
gonna be like
China.
thick. It's gonna be like heavy, man. That Panini book.
Yeah, it's
It's gonna be
gonna
like an
quadruple.
encyclopedia.
Yeah, that just became a really expensive hobby. Panini must be creaming their pants though, man. That's
How many teams is that World Cup?
48. 48, and then 23 players per team.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, it's what happens. It's evolving and it's evolving. But like I'm throwing my salt out there, man. I don't like all that stuff. I don't like giving these teams a chance. They need to earn their chance the regular way.
But
And I don't even mind. I wouldn't mind if they got rid of the non-champions and champions league. I mean, who wants to see
the
uh
the the fans
like all
from
these?
those teams.
Yeah, like right now the teams playing. Well, actually the stage before. Who wants to see that? Or even this stage, we want to see like
But
the
there's
Real
like
Madrid
Atletico
against
Madrid.
Manchester.
A lot of people want to see Real Madrid Manchester.
Well, who played? Who like the?
But
I don't
Kikis,
even
come
Well,
know.
on, man.
Chigas, I want to see World Series games during the day on the weekend, but that's just not going to happen anymore, man.
World Series.
That train has left the station. It's all about money now.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Why would UEFA change the thing where they have the outside of the NFL, it is it is the most popular league in the world. Actually, I'm sorry, outside of the Premier League. If we want to talk soccer, it is easily the most popular league in the world. Easily. So I don't have a problem. I mean, now, should they call it the Champions League? Probably not. I mean, it used to be it wasn't the Champions League. What was it before?
Oh,
UEFA something.
European.
Was it just the European Cup?
But let me check
Euro.
because yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Because they used to have the Recopa, which was the teams that won the Federation Cup, to like the FA Cup or like the Copa del Rey, the Cup Winners' Cup.
Okay, it was the European Champions Clubs Cup, and they would just call it European Cup, which I used to get confused with the Euro Cup.
Right.
Which yeah, I had ran since 1955. So the Champions League, as we know it, is it only goes back to like '92. That's when it got rebranded in 1992.
I remember that. And the first team to win the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken, was Marseille. And it was a big deal because they had just sold their hot in the final, and then the
All
next
right.
year Milan beat the snot out of Barcelona in the final. I mean, just crushed them.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we're gonna remind Chiquis that they copied the Libertadores, man,
They did.
which was the Campeonato Sudamericano de Campeones.
And just like FIFA copied CONMEBOL with the CopaMX.
Yeah.
hey, saludos to Serge, who's on the chat. He's asking
Oh
if
yeah.
John's on a walkie-talkie.
He's he's eating
I'm
a
driving.
BK double. Uh, he's eating a baconator.
No, what is it?
No, I think they could hear the rapper John.
A royale with
We
cheese
hear
or something.
No, I'm just a mustard Whopper with cheese.
a what?
Y'all remember the Getafe shirts when they were sponsored? And
Getafe.
if a guy scored a goal, remember that when they would pull, remember when the idiotic the players that would pull their shirt over their head, and if they did that with the Getafe shirt, the Burger King was on the inside of it, so it looked like they would have the Burger King
Oh man, I
as
just
their
remember
face.
that.
It was brilliant. It was
Oh man,
absolutely brilliant. Well, one of the great shirt sponsorships of all time.
that must be a collectible by now. That jersey, if you
We should
collect
ask.
jerseys.
We should ask Serge if he has PTSD from watching the Red Sox score all those runs with 2 outs in the World Series.
Ouch. Was that today? Did they play today?
No, they're off today.
It was yesterday,
Oh, it was
last night.
yesterday. So they're leading 2-0.
That's right. Las Medias Rojas.
That
Híjole,
that brings us to another. I guess we can transition
híjole.
because on my Twitter feed, I just follow. Well, I follow mostly a bunch of Mexican soccer people, soccer fans and stuff. And my Twitter feed was blowing up with
Dodger talk.
with Dodger talk and not CopaMX talk. But I was like, where are the priorities here? I thought CopaMX was like Chivas championship, and they were
Yeah,
all
but
proud of how
it's the
big.
World Series though, man, and I think
Yeah, but the
that's why
World
it gets.
Series, what's baseball compared to the beautiful game? I thought
Yeah.
I thought soccer was the number one sport in the world,
But
especially with
I think
Mexicans.
if you're from the U.S., I think you grow up watching multiple
Oh,
sports, so
I
it's
get it.
you know I'm not gonna ask people to choose, man.
I
I
get
think
it.
if you can enjoy it, go for it, dude. Which is what surprises me. Like, okay, you're gonna have all these teams, but then you're gonna hate on MLS. Which, hey, John, I don't know if you
You know the
saw it.
reason. You know the reason for that. Oh, you know the reason for that.
It's a bit saltiness. But John,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you saw it. I posted a clip about what they're doing at LAFC, man, and I still haven't gone just because I moved. Me cambié de casa, man. I had the stadium right down the block. Um, but it's pretty incredible, man, what the fans are doing. And I didn't think the fans were gonna do that because I knew some of those fan groups because they were from Chivas USA. They carried them over the front office from LAFC. Before the team was even formed. they reached out to the support groups. They said they wanted them to be a part of the club and all that, and it's pretty incredible what they managed to do. And so the club owner flew the leaders of those support groups to Germany to get some tips, man, from one of the, what was it, Chiquis? Was it Dortmund? The Yellow Wall or something? It's one of
I
the
didn't
top
catch it.
Right.
support
Yeah, the big
groups.
wall in Dortmund.
Yeah, and so now if you see how the afición is, it's like, whoa, man, it's very it's very that's a very good atmosphere. It does for like just
So they didn't go down to see how La Monumental does at the Azteca
nah,
or
they
Barra
didn't.
51.
Barra
Not
Barra
that.
51 got tips from the Argentines from Los Borrachos del Tablón, which is River Plate's main support group. Yeah, well, I
Well,
mean,
I mean, to me, people always have had a problem with MLS and just love to bash MLS because deep down, they know what's coming and they just don't want to admit it.
they don't, because I mean, dude, I do want to go see Vela play, man. To see that guy, the goals he's scoring. I mean, and it's not that expensive. You think we're getting sponsored by LAFC, but we're not. I'm just saying, if you live close, I recommend go catching a match because it's. I mean, you get Vela and you get good atmosphere,
Well,
and seeing.
LAFC has done a masterful job of marketing their squad to an LA audience.
Yeah, they cross promote with Dodgers.
Well, isn't Magic Johnson a co-owner of LAFC?
Yes,
He's a
yes, he
co-owner
is.
of Dodgers.
They also got that dude. What's his name? Will Ferrell.
And
Sure, he
Tony
brings in a bunch
Robbins
of dudes.
and and Tony Robbins, man. I know
Who's
him from
that?
Shallow Hall.
What about Zig Ziglar? Is he one of their sponsors too?
Ese güey no sé quién es, but did you guys see Shallow Hall where
Oh,
he
Shallow
he
Hal.
he touches that guy and he sees all the gordibuenas?
I haven't seen it.
Maybe we need that guy to get us to Quinto Partido, man.
No, LAFC has done very well.
Let them
Vela
let
is more than likely going to be the league's MVP.
let them win a CONCACAF Champions League, and then they
Calmado,
could go.
it's going there, man.
And let those guys go down to Monterrey because they're in the U.S. Okay, this is like record breaking. They've never seen a soccer game before. They've never
but
seen a soccer game without their
Chiquis,
kids, and there's no. But they're used to soccer orange wedges and Capri Suns, and then they go get a little taste of what it is like every single day in Argentina and in Monterrey and in Volcan.
no,
If
there's
they
a lot
even
of there's a lot of Latino, man. There's all these. It's
Yeah, but
just down the
I'm talking about
block.
this interview. I'm talking about the herd, Colin and all
Oh
those guys on that interview. It's a big deal, but it's like normal stuff for guys in Monterrey. It's
no,
normal
it
stuff
is.
for
It
guys in
it
Argentina.
is. It is. But I mean, that's how you build like the culture, soccer culture and stuff like that. I mean, I'd rather that they do it than they you know like compared to what Chivas USA did, where it's just like they weren't doing anything and they had
Well,
a lot to work with and they just threw it away.
Chivas USA was like the way that Univision and Telemundo were for years. Está en español y lo van a ver porque está en español,
Yeah.
porque no les queda otro. And that's how Chivas USA was. Mira, le vamos a poner el nombre de Chivas y la gente va a venir porque es Chivas.
Yeah.
And that's all they did. That was their entire marketing plan. Es Chivas y van a venir. And
Yeah.
LA is a Chivas town.
And you also, I mean, I think this whole thing blew up because some guy posted a picture of their LAFC jump, and it went like huge on Twitter. But you've seen like similar stuff about Atlanta FC, which I think their attendance is like blows any other MLS team out of the water.
Well, that's because they have the biggest stadium.
Well, them in Seattle. I mean, I think Seattle's also one of the teams that
Well, even LAFC, you
constantly
see
brings.
gaps in that stadium.
Well, yeah, I know some of our Mexi fans are like, why talking about this? Because, man, if you guys been paying attention, Enrique Bonilla's talking about, a joint league or a joint cup. So it's coming uh, pretty soon, man.
I would be
Or,
thrilled if LigaMX and MLS did a straight up one-off cup tournament. It would be fantastic.
yeah, we talked about this. It would. I mean, those teams they keep getting stronger, man. I got to see some of the games in the inaugural season, 1996, and because I had a program, John. Was this? They gave me a program. I went to the very first Galaxy game. They played the New York,
The-
New Jersey Metro Stars, who had Tony Miola.
and Roberto
The, the
Donadoni.
yeah, the failed Jets kicker. Um, so but Miola had been the keeper for the U.S. At the '94 World Cup, and the Galaxy had Campos, the Mexican keeper. But that was like one of the more exciting things getting the soccer program. I always read how you got him in England, uh, but it, and I remember going through the pages and it kind of felt like a wrestling manual, like for lucha libre, because they had like weird names of players. They had Dr. Kumalo. He was for the he was for the Columbus Crew. Dr. Kumalo. Some just weird names, man. It almost felt like circus like.
Yeah, if you remember,
And that Andrew Shue.
Mr. Roboto played for Kansas City Wiz.
Yeah, and that was the name Wiz. Kansas City
The
Wiz.
Wiz. I'm the Wiz. Because I'm better than everyone. I'm the Wiz.
It's, yeah,
And
man.
I
That
can't be
I
beat.
wish I kept it though, but they had the old logos. They were just pretty bizarre, man. Like San Jose Clash, and they looked like the from the video game Invaders. It looked like a I don't know. It looked like a crab, kind of like an 8-bit crab. They, and then the
It had
Metro
a
Stars.
scorpion on it.
No, that came later.
No.
Oh, you know what? I'm confusing it, John. Clash at the Scorpion. You're right. Clash at the Scorpion. They had Ronaldo. I'm thinking the Mutiny, the Tampa Bay Mutiny.
The Tampa Bay Mutiny, yeah.
That like a weird looking crab. I don't know what it was. And the Metro Stars had like a flying taxi cab. And then Dallas Burn had like a horse that was a rayo, and from the from
Pegasus.
the shooting fire from the mouth. It's just like what it almost felt like a video
Yeah,
game.
I don't
I
think
don't
I
know
don't
what
think
was
any
that
of
like.
those original logos, like United and Revolution, are the only ones that kept the same logo.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of those jerseys were ugly, man. They were good conversation starters if you could get your hands on one of them.
Yeah,
They were on Nike.
the Wiz particularly were absolutely hideous. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, a local radio station in Kansas City celebrated the announcement of the Wiz as a new team by flushing the toilet.
And Crew, I don't know if you remember Crew. They had 3 construction guys, like in hard hats. That was their logo. It was like 3 dudes.
like the Village People.
That
That's the
would have
same
been
thing.
awesome because if they would have had the police and then the Native American and the motorcycle enthusiast,
The, the
then that
the
would have
Indian
looked way
chief
better.
and the construction worker,
Oh man, but
the biker.
yeah, no, but I mean, compared to '96, man, I mean they employed Tata Martino, dude, who might be going to Mexico. And they have Vela, they have Gio. I mean, it gets to the point where you can't deny that this league is improving or bringing
When was
in
the
better and
last
better.
time? When was the last time Gio even played?
Oh man, that's sad. Gio's becoming the next Netty. He might retire to Curaçao, dude, and have a have like a fishing store selling tackle bait.
He's injured, I think, but
He's injured from the fields.
yeah, he's done anyway. He didn't play much in the World Cup, so yeah, he's done.
Yeah, all those Tommy burgers. Just
That's not a
wipe them
bad way
out.
to go. That's not a bad way to go though.
That
Yeah,
is
it is.
true. If I were going to choose a burger to die, like death by burger, Tommy
Tommy
Burger would
side.
probably be number one.
Tommy side.
Not to be confused with death by Tommy Lasorda.
you just you just eating, you get a massive heart attack, stroke.
Funny story about Tommy Lasorda. One of the guys I work with used to be the director for the Astros way back when, and there was a game that they were doing where the Astros were terrible. The Dodgers weren't that much better, and it's toward the end of the season where they're just bringing a bunch of dudes up that no one even knows, like when they've expanded their roster. And this guy comes out and throws 12 pitches, all balls, walks the bases loaded. Tom Lasorda walks out, and there's no one in the Astrodome. And like the way that, if you remember, the pitcher's mound was kind of like right in the middle. So what ends up happening is that the Astrodome then becomes a gigantic parabolic microphone, the roof. So the announcer's like, I wonder what words of advice Tommy Lasorda has for this pitcher. So they're out there, and Tommy walks out, and he says, "Throw fucking strikes," and walks away. And it goes over the air and everything. It's just a very funny story.
Oh man.
So let's talk Tata Martino, who
Yes.
is now the leader in the clubhouse. And if you would read the Twitter, apparently is, it was a fracaso rotundo at Barcelona, where I guess coming in second place by 3 points and losing, I think it was at the semifinal, maybe I guess it was the quarterfinals of the Champions League, is like the worst Barcelona coach in 50 years.
Man, it's pretty brutal. First, I don't know if they're trying to. Was it the Tigres? Someone from Tigres threw Tuca's name back in the goblet of fire. Said, "Hey, FMF did approach us now formally, and that Tuca will be one of our candidates."
Tuca's a safety. He's a safety school.
You think?
Always has been. Always will be.
Same as Piojo. So I would say Piojo, Tuca, Tata, and I don't know who the fourth is. People say Almeida, but it's not Almeida.
It can only be one person. El Cabezón Luna. It's the only logical explanation. No, so Tata Martin, I think that Mexico has been in talks with Martino probably since the end of since John de Luisa took over. I know that they approached him when they went up and had their friendly in Nashville against the U.S. They took a little side trip to Atlanta. Officially or extra officially, I think that they did meet with him. There's certainly ways they can do that. They've certainly met with their agent. With the way that the timing works out, and him announcing that he's not going to be the coach next year, I would probably put it at about a 75% chance that he's going to end up being Mexico's coach. He was the Paraguay coach for a long time. Took them to the 2010 World Cup, to the quarterfinals of the 2010 World Cup.
And John, if I may, really quick, I think if you could qualify out of CONMEBOL, You could very well qualify out of CONCACAF.
And let's not forget that Paraguay 2010 team was essentially a LigaMX team. I mean, four of their starters, if I'm not mistaken, were guys that were playing in LigaMX. And I remember Dario Verón had to play because of suspensions against Spain in the World Cup. Had the game of his life against Spain in the World Cup quarterfinals, which frankly Paraguay should have won. They missed the penalty when it was 0-0 late in the second half. Ended up losing 1-0. So Tata Martino is a good choice for Mexico. If it ends up being him, I think it's a solid choice. The press love it. He coached at Barcelona. He's from Argentina. I mean, what more do they want from a foreign coach?
I think he checks off he checks off the majority of the boxes of requisites that he's had high profile jobs. Barcelona. He's dealt with big name players. He coached Argentina. He coached at the World Cup. I mean, he took a team to the World Cup and was at the World Cup. So I think all of that just it goes in line with what FMF is looking for in a coach. Compared to like Sven, who just had he had been in England already, right? Had he coached England?
Yeah, I did.
When he came to
Twice.
Mexico? Man.
for 2 cycles.
That's right, man.
That was his main attraction. So I mean, I think he's a good coach also, but my only anything can happen with Mexico. I think it could be another Sven, or it could be that he does really well. But anything could happen with the Mexican team.
I don't think he'll be another Sven, man. I think with Sven is that it was just too foreign for him, the whole change, everything, culture of the competition, everything.
I think Sven got a raw deal because he just didn't have time. You know what I mean? I mean, Sven's first game, his first match as a Mexico coach, was a World Cup qualifier against freaking Honduras.
Yeah. Well, that group was very tough. That pre-Hex group was arguably tougher than the Hex.
But I would be satisfied with him. I would be happy with Martino.
But the other thing about Martino is that he, just being RG, he has already, all these Argentines that are already in LigaMX. So there's already talk that Ruben Omar Romano would be joining him in the coaching staff, as would Norberto Scoponi, former Cruz Azul goalkeeper.
That's fine. The only thing, I don't know if it's related to Martino, is I'm hearing a lot of talk about naturalizados. I don't know if I'm down with all that stuff. But
Wait, man, have you not listened to the podcast?
Lo
adelantamos hace un año, chiquis.
Yeah, but
you have no choice,
is it the coach? No. Well, yeah, I think you do. Like, who are you talking?
How many strikers do you have right now? Legit strikers in the top 10. I mean, say it without looking at the list.
Legit strikers.
In the top 10, name me at least 3 Mexicans that are in the top 10 goleadores for LigaMX.
You got Chucky.
LigaMX.
Oh, and LigaMX.
LigaMX, dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's only one, it's Oribe, and he already retired from the national team.
We got Cubo Torres.
Yeah, that guy's gonna be cool.
We got... Oh, they don't have to be LigaMX, man.
See? Come on, man. if you got to do like Furch, and he's gonna deliver, then just bring him in, man. I think some of the younger guys, he probably won't be ready until much later. You know.
So why do Mexicans even have a problem with that today? I mean, is Mexicans inferiority complex that severe that they can't handle the fact
it is
that they have to use a naturalizado?
That's
I mean, isn't
nothing
that
to
what
do with
it's
it.
all about?
That's nothing to do with it.
It has everything to do with it, dude.
No,
Yes.
We've explained this. Even Ronnie explained this lots and lots of times. Long ago, back when Guille was the issue, or Xenia, and it's the same thing, man. You're permitting a guy who is choosing your team as their second choice, and that's just like humiliating. That's like,
I don't see it like that. But look,
it's an inferiority complex.
I'm gonna read
no,
the top 10.
it's
I'm gonna
holding
read the
some
top 10
standards.
for
It's having some standards for yourself
hey,
and for your team. Some pride.
here's a slap of reality though. Here, okay, tabla de goleadores, man. Wait, it's not showing goals scored. I put goleo and I just want to see how many goals they scored. Mal medio cierto, man. and then I'm getting all these pop-ups.
Oh, you need some ad block, dude. Let me check that out too.
Damn it.
Shoot, wrong.
Where's the goles? Goles anotados. Okay, it's GA. So with first place is Gignac with 10 goals, same as Furch, who could be our naturalizado striker. Sambeso has 8. He's in third place. The Uruguayo Jonathan Rodriguez has 7. Carlos Gonzalez 6. Leonardo Ramos 6. Felipe Mora 6. Victor Davila 6. Carlos Ferreira 5. Nicolas Sanchez 5. Oribe and Elias are at the lower end with 5 each. And then a bunch of other foreigners.
Okay, we got Saldiva. We got Chivas players. Pulido. We got Chofis. We got Gudiño. We got who else? I mean,
Exactly.
these guys aren't gonna start anyway, man. You're gonna have Chucky. You're gonna have Tecatito. You're gonna have Chicharito. These guys are. I mean, they're gonna be riding the bench for their team of second choice. And I mean, sure, call them up. I have no problem, but it's just like
You're
it's
assuming
lame.
that all those guys are always available. You still need a decent enough player depth because you never know if there's an injury, there's a drop in form, suspensions. You have to take all of that into account. And
It's
then,
also
and
it's
then
also
some
a
of those.
band-aid. It's also a band-aid to
Uh,
your federation and your youth
yeah, but we did
producing a
it to
lack of
ourselves
players. Yeah,
when we started going over the 3 and 4 player foreign limit. Once you got into 10 and 12, you kind of got stuck there, man. You kind of put yourself in that predicament of you're gonna be dependent in other players because you're just not producing enough talent.
yeah. So I mean,
I mean,
that's my
this
opinion
was
on it.
the exact topic we talked about. Was, this was it. This was Mexico's best chance. These were guys that were in their late 20s, that were playing their third, some even their fourth World Cup, and you look behind them, no hay nada. There was just nothing there, and it's why we've said that the next coach is going to have to be someone that would have to have their pulse on what's going on with LigaMX. Someone that knows how to bring along a younger player, and Tata, may not necessarily be a quote unquote LigaMX coach, but I think that he'll have no problem assimilating, and he can bring on, bring along the younger player. Now, there are some young players that I do think that they do merit consideration, and we'll see how they will do. The kid at Toluca, whose name escapes me at the moment, comes to mind. But yeah, but this is a problem. And again, naturalizados. I'm sorry, but if you're a Mexican citizen, then I don't see. I've never understood what the problem is. I just don't. I just don't understand. I don't understand why people always get their panties in a wad about this.
I've seen it more from Mexicans in the U.S. than from Mexicans in Mexico. The pushback.
Yeah, but it's not just that. I mean, anytime there's a player like that, every single time that they're mentioned as a team, y le tocan el balón al naturalizado. It is el naturalizado. I mean, Ciña's nickname might as well have been el naturalizado, because that's all they ever did. And Ciña, he had a pretty decent national team career. Guillefranco, not so much. But even Guillefranco, I remember when, before he was called up, and I remember the Televisa guys were just all over La Volpe's ass. ¿Cuándo vas a llamar al Guillefranco? ¿Cuándo vas a llamar al Guille? He finally calls him up. ¿Cómo es posible que está llamando a este jugador naturalizado? No puede ser. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Here's another reason, and I've already explained like a couple, but here's another reason. You want your Mexican national team to represent your country and to represent the football your country produces. And when you bring in naturalizados, that's not what you're doing. You're bringing in some other country's developed soccer player to help supplant your team that's not up to par, that needs
we already do
help.
it in club league.
So, dude, yeah, I mean, again, see, all of these reasons for why it's not a good idea, Chiquis, it all boils down to the same thing, and it's an inferiority complex. Period.
No.
You said it's a humiliation to do it. Now you're saying it's. I mean, again, it's just
all of the above.
It's another form of the same thing.
No, it's all of the above. It's having some pride in your team and having some pride in your product, and not depending on others.
How is that any different from what we're doing at the club level, though?
Well, the club level. I mean, Chivas is doing the opposite.
That's
Chivas
just one, though. That's one team. Come on.
Yeah, but you have the club is different. The club is the same in every. It's not a national team. It's not representing.
Chivas' record of success has been so impressive over the past 15 years.
Yeah, that has nothing to do. Results have nothing to do with bringing in foreigners in a club team. A club team is to win no matter what, and if you're bringing in foreigners, then that's fine. That's the standard of play. But when you're in the Olympics, you don't go and grab a bunch of Brazilians to be on your team so you could win and you could sweep everybody. But that's essentially, to a lesser extent, what bringing in naturalizados is. It's bringing in players to supplant yourself because you're not good enough to compete, or you have weaknesses in certain areas, and you need suplentes. You need help, and that just shows that you're not up to par, and you're not doing things right. So you want a Band-Aid fix.
Spain has naturalizados. England has naturalizados. France has naturalizados. Argentina has naturalizados. So why is it okay for them to have naturalizados and not Mexico? The U.S. has naturalizados. Canada has naturalizados. Holland has naturalizados. Italy has naturalizados. So only Mexico is not allowed to have naturalizados.
Well, the main base of their team are not that way.
Well, the main base of Mexico's team is not that way either. I mean, it's not as if Mexico's going to field a team of 15 naturalizados. They're fielding a team of 22 players and one naturalizado. So
okay,
what is the big deal?
Name me a player for the U.S. that's naturalizado.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the U.S. particularly.
Okay,
over the years.
Or for Argentina.
Higuain.
Where was he born? Where did he
France.
develop? Where did he develop?
France.
In France?
France.
Since what age?
His name is Higuain. He's French.
Since what age did he move to Argentina?
That I couldn't tell you.
Okay, I want to know where he's developed. And that's that I think is key. Let me actually look that up. And it's not a big deal in others.
So why is it a big deal in Mexico? Other than the fact that Mexicans have a massive inferiority complex about it.
Maybe because Mexico is not a huge team. Mexico is trying to improve. All these other teams are more established, so it's more overlooked. But you see when you talk about announcers saying, "Oh, Ciña's Brasi Mexicano," and it's brought up every single time he touches the ball.
Right.
I think in Australia there was a guy who was obviously not Australian. I think he's Brazilian or something, and they brought it up the same with him. So it's not unseen in other teams, but I think with Mexico not being a top team, fighting their way up to the top level, it's more pronounced. But I don't think it's a negative. I mean, the salt cannon can be out for saying it's an inferiority. Can't even say it. Complex from Mexicans, but I think it's more of a pride issue.
Tomato.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Youth career.
Again, I've never understood the big deal.
Youth career, River Plate. So he was developed in Argentina, man.
He's still French.
All right, that's not a good example.
He's still French.
That's not a good example. So is Neri. Neri is Uruguayan. But what was the justification for Neri since he was so good? Oh, he was born in Monterrey or wherever.
San Luis Potosí.
San Luis Potosí. So I mean, I understand. I mean, inferiority. I can't even say it. Inferior. How does one feel inferior as a Mexican? I don't feel inferior.
I'm not saying you do, but I think that the general consensus, and I've thought this, it's the same reason why Mexican fans hate losing to the U.S. more than any other team.
I wouldn't be surprised though. We're bound to see 1 or 3 naturalizados. That's just where this team is at right now, because we're seeing, we could choose to go without him, but why complicate things? If you have someone like Fur that could deliver, bring him in, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Inferior.
Spanish fans had a big bug up their ass about Marco Senna for a long time until they won the Eurocopa in 2008. Then all of a sudden it was okay.
Well, yeah, same with Bozo. No one complains that his goal kept Mexico, sent Mexico through the hexagonal. Would have been a big humiliation if he, didn't deliver that day. And
I would have loved it if Piojo, when they had that CopaMX, where he sent like that, if he would have sent a team of like all naturalizados, it would have been hilarious. Like why wasn't Chaco Jimenez on that team?
What about that Spanish dude? I think he's Spanish Brazilian guy. It's like a joke, that guy with
Diego Costa.
Yeah, Costa. So that's sort of a good example. I mean, people go crazy about that dude. But it's fun. I mean, you are right. I don't think it's an inferiority complex with the U.S. It's more of the U.S. being a non-soccer team beats Mexico, who is a soccer country.
That used to be, man. You're going way back to like the 90s. I don't
Well,
think
even
that
now, man,
argument's valid anymore.
no Mexican likes to lose to the U.S.
No, I know, but
Mexico.
that was before. It was understandable before. Uh, they just weren't seen as a football country, but you really can't make that argument anymore. I mean, they're about to host their second World Cup.
I don't think that has to do with the quality of their football, though. I
No,
still don't think
but
they're a football
you
country.
can't call the country non-football country.
I think so. I don't think
Dude, you
they're.
see how many soccer-specific stadiums they have?
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it's not at its full potential or as good as it should be, but you're not gonna take away from you know from all the venues and all the teams where football is. I mean, Los Angeles has two football clubs. I
It's the
can't really
Copa.
say
It's like
this place isn't a football, and then there's two football teams.
it's like saying CopaMX is a popular cup when people are talking about Dodgers.
It's getting there. It's
CopaMX is
yeah,
getting there.
yeah, but those people are in it'll be something else if it was Cruz Azul fans talking about the World Series and not their team, advancing to the finals. I think
Did
as
Cruz Azul make the final?
yes, sir.
Oh
And
boy.
they're going up against Monterrey, and it's something we touched on the last podcast, John, where we were saying uh, how Cruz Azul had lost to Querétaro, you know, but no one was really talking about La Cruz Azulio. That thing is beginning to,
Well, they did lose to Querétaro in the last few minutes.
yeah,
So it was.
yeah, but that's why, and it wasn't like such a big deal. They weren't getting made fun of because they're still in the top places, and they were getting close to another Cruz Azulada because um, they played León, and León had gone down a man in the first half, and they were losing. Cruz Azul was losing. León scored when they were playing with 10, and Cruz Azul struggled to get back into that game, and they went to penalties. But they're in the final, so that's that. And Cruz Azul Monterrey is just what this cup needs.
During that game, Aldo or somebody on the announcers were hating on Cruz Azul, saying they didn't deserve the win. They didn't play to deserve the win at all.
Blah blah
Um,
blah. That to me is just such a ridiculous
I will say though,
commentary.
I will say that they did Cruz Azul. They are on their way to Cruz Azuleando the Super Liderato though, man. They lost.
That's the last thing they want.
They,
That's the last thing they want to do.
they
Is finish in first
they
place.
lost it
No,
to
but even
America.
even if they finish in second, they would still avoid America, and they would not get to play them until the final, basically at this point. So I wouldn't. I still think second wouldn't be bad. Um, I do
Oh
think
yeah.
they're made. I still think they're in a good standing, or they're going to have the. If you go to Liguilla in second, you still have like, what do you mean? The advantages of like in the first games that if you tie, you go through. So that
Yeah, for the first two rounds, you
yeah
get, if you're the number 2 seed, you get the you get the higher seed advantage.
yeah. So I mean, I see that, but that's why I think it's. Oh man, my phone, Chico's. My phone's about to go kerplunk. I've connected it to the power outlet, but it's just not powering. Just went down to 1%.
Oh.
So I just finished my
Enchúfalo, güey.
comentario. It is enchufado. It's still just it wants to die. I think it's gonna die before it powers up again. But just my closing commentary. That's why I think it's gonna be pretty big. The Clásico Capitalino. I think for Cruz Azul is win-win. Even if they lose, it would be interesting to see how they bounce back. And if they win, it's a big boost of confidence for them.
Yeah, that's
Bueno,
the match.
chavos. Bueno, chavos, I have to jump off here because my telephone, yeah, it's got the Thanos snap. I'm disappearing.
Yeah, it's already 12, man. It's already 12, so I guess it's a
Bueno,
good time to.
Joel is fading away like
yeah.
McFly family in Back to the
No,
Future.
no, Mr. Stark. But yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back next. We'll do
All right,
one
man.
soon.
Have a good one.
Later, chicos.
Later.
All right, Chiquis. Well, I'm gonna sign out too.
All right, man. Have a good
I don't
drive
know where the
the
hell
rest
I
of the
am.
way.
Where am I? I'm in Waco.
All right.
Yeah. All right, man. Take it easy.
Later. Yep. All righty. So thanks for listening to the podcast this evening. We will close out episode 161, thanking Joel and thanking John for joining, and I will get this thing out on iTunes for you guys to listen to tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Talk to you guys later.